Now, when we talk about God and, the standard um, theory of creation, right? There's a lot of people, especially in academia, that present arguments against this theory, right? That make the claim that because you have no, hard evidence or proof of, the standard theory of creation of God, that way, they kind of write it off as a way to discount. Well, you want to consider a couple things, right? There's a lot of things in the universe that you can't see. Maybe you can't feel, and it exists. Magnetism exists. It's not exactly something that you can see, right? You know, there's all types of stuff in the air that you cannot see that seem to be there, like different types of radiation, radio waves. Radio waves exist. Can't really see them. Maybe you don't really feel them. They're there, though. Consider that. And consider that any person who says that you have no proof or evidence that God created the universe, any person that says that, consider you can apply that same logic to pretty much anything that exists in standard academia, right? Is there any evidence of evolution that exists? There's actually a bunch of holes in the theory. It's all just theory. There's a lot of things that don't make sense in that theory, right? And it's a cool story and all, but there's so many holes in the theory of evolution that it's like, okay, is this supposed to be a better theory than believing in God? Because it's not really that much of a better theory, you know? Do we have missing links to prove that frogs evolved to lizards, that they grew legs over billions of years of supposed evolution? Do we see primates really being born with changes to make them appear more human, even though they say it takes billions of years for that change to take place? It just doesn't really make any sense, that theory. There's just so many holes in the theory. And, I guess, or even the Big Bang, we have like a theory that a big explosion happened from a singular point that created all animals and planets and created the universe. Some kind of implosion, some kind of explosion. I mean, I don't know. Has that ever happened? Have we ever had an explosion or implosion in any type of experiment that created something like that? I don't know. It seems unlikely, to say the least. Especially when you consider a lot of these theories, like a lot of these theories of like a lot of these theories when it comes to evolution, the Big Bang, they were only developed like 100, 200 years ago. Even the theory that the Earth revolves around the sun, that theory hasn't been around forever. It's probably founded a couple hundred years ago. There was a time in the not so distant past that we believed the sun revolved around the earth. In the not so distant past, it was only a couple hundred years ago. So you want to consider that, and I'm not telling you not to believe in anything that you read in academia or in books, but what I'm saying is you want to consider that almost everything you may be taught in school or academia in general, a lot of it is very recent stuff that has been developed. A lot of it is pure theory, right? Even like these equations that you bring up in physics. I mean, can it give you a kind of an accurate way to say how long it's going to take me for this tennis ball to hit the ground? Maybe, but can you actually prove that this equation is 100% fact? Is it 100% accurate? We're not so sure about that, right? A lot of it is pure theory. And there's a lot of things in the universe we don't understand. We don't know how it works. We theorize how gravity works. We theorize how the planets were developed. We theorize how things work. But a lot of it is pure theory. And I'm not trying to say it's wrong. I'm trying to say it's healthy to keep an open mind when you think about the past, when you think about how the world was developed, when you think about what possibly exists out there in the universe, when you think about how the universe actually works. It's all theory. And it's healthy to keep an open mind and not necessarily be too married to something that that may not feel right to you, that may not make actual sense. You don't need to be married to it. You don't need to be married to the idea that, humans came from monkeys and stuff like that. Does it make sense to you? Does it feel right? Does it seem like that? Does it seem like lizards came from frogs? Does it seem like that? Does it seem like, rhino turns into giraffe one day and it took billions of years and the Earth's been around for like who knows what? We don't even know how old the Earth is for sure. We literally don't even know. We have ways to kind of estimate the age of Earth, but we have no idea for sure how old the Earth is. We don't even know if the Earth has been around for billions of years. They can kind of estimate it. But when you look at, even when you look at the ways they estimate it, where they'll take like a rock and they say, okay, this rock degrades like every 1,000 years. It's not necessarily a fact though. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily hard evidence that proves that the Earth has been around for a set number of years. It's all just theory. And I'm not telling you to not believe in it. I'm telling you, these guys in white lab coats that spent a lot of time in school, it's all theory, hypotheses. A hypothesis that has a lot of backing, that has a lot of people believing in it. A hypothesis that might make some logical sense. But on the face of it, when you look at these theories and you see how many holes exist in these theories, and you look at the likelihood that it's true, you realize that the theory that God exists and that he created the universe and that he is the supreme architect of the universe, that theory or belief, I believe that to be true. I feel like I sense that to be true. That theory, I pretty much believe it holds more weight. I mean, it makes more sense than what they put out there, right? That's what I believe. And when you look at the facts of the situation, it doesn't really matter if you don't have any hard evidence that you're looking for to support it. Because you don't really have any hard evidence for any theory that you read in your book. That's why it's a theory. Because it can't be proven per se, or it hasn't been proven. So it's something to consider. When you talk about God and the belief that God created the universe, right? Consider that a lot of guys that try to tell you that, oh, it doesn't make sense, oh, it's unlikely. Consider that a lot of guys that tell you that believe in something that also doesn't make any sense and that also is not likely. So I go with what I believe and I go with what I sense. And to me, God creating the universe makes a lot more sense than anything out there you'll read in terms of theories of how the universe works. Sure.